Hey, Jane. You go ahead and leave that job and come here. I'm gonna have you start taking care of my dad tomorrow.
Huh? What do you mean you want me to leave my job, though? And you want me to come take care of your dad?
Well, I just got a call from my dad a little bit ago. He had a bad call and broke one of his hands.
He broke a hand? That's terrible to hear.
He was trying to get something off the top of one of his shelves, and in doing so, stood on a weak chair. When it broke, he came crashing down on his hands. And you know, my dad is getting up there in age now, right? It ended up breaking one hand and really screwing up the other. So living on his own is going to be impossible for him. So I'm going to have you quit your job and start working full-time as my dad's caregiver.
I'm really worried about your dad and all, but asking me to do that right now is a bit too sudden. First of all, I don't want to quit the job I have right now.
Huh? All you're doing is working a simple job for the city, right? And you're a woman in an office filled with men, so there's no way you'd be able to get any further promotions there. So hurry up and leave that place and come to my dad's side.
What?
Well, your husband's dad is in trouble right now. This is your job as the wife, right? And you already know that my dad has work to do, still with his company that he's been running. So he needs a woman like you to go care for his needs so that he can get right back to focusing on keeping his company on the rails.
You didn't marry me to be the one to care for your dad when he needs someone to support him. If you're that worried about him needing help, then why don't you go and help your dad out? And you saying that I'm just some city worker doesn't make my job any less important than yours. All you do is work for an office for some large company. And you actually get more time off than I do at your job, so during family emergencies like these, you should be able to take a month of PTO, right?
I do have a lot of PTO saved up, but I've never seen anyone use all their time up like that. And if I did take that much time off, can you imagine the impact that would have on me getting a promotion? I'm tired of arguing about this, so just leave the job of yours and come care for my dad.
Then how about until his hands are usable again, we hire someone to come and care for his needs? He could even do that himself since he has all that money from being a CEO. He has to have the ability to find someone to care for him, right?
You're my wife, and having you care for him is free to all of us. There's no reason to hire anyone to care for him when you're right here. All right? This is a strict order from your husband, so you listen to me. Stop trying to talk your way around it and hurry things up with quitting your job and coming here. I already told my dad that you'd be coming soon to start caring for him, so the plan's already been set in motion. So I'll leave everything up to you now.
It's been a while, Jane. I'm sure you've heard by now from Phil about my injury.
I did hear about it from him, but are you really doing okay now? You didn't get any other injuries from a fall like that?
I was pretty lucky with that fall and only ended up with one broken hand and the other one being sprained. I didn't happen to hit my head on anything, and everything besides my hands are all right. Thank goodness my son bought me that smartphone last year for something like this. I'm still able to use it a little bit on my left hand, even with the sprain.
Well, that's great to hear.
Now, another thing I heard from Phil was that you're going to be quitting your job to come here. That will be a major help for me. But I'm really sorry that you have to do that. Are you really okay with leaving that job of yours to be around me all the time?
Whether I'm okay with it or not, this was an order from my husband, and he told me that times like these are why he married me in the first place, so...
What do you mean this is an order by your husband? He told me that you chose to leave your job after hearing about me being injured in that fall.
That's not at all what happened, Fred. Just a few hours ago, he came out of nowhere telling me to quit my job without really giving me any more context. Then after that, he told me that you're in trouble and that I need to be a good wife and take care of you while your hands are hurt. And when I told him that I didn't really want to leave my job, he started to get upset with me.
That's not at all the story I heard from Phil. I'm so sorry, Jane. I may have very little use of my hands right now, but I'll find some way to manage on my own. I don't want to be the one to force anyone to do things that they don't want to do, so please relax.
So you're saying it's okay if I don't quit my job?
Of course I am. It seems that Phil is just trying to use what happened to me for his advantage. I'm really sorry about all that.
Actually, I just told my boss that I'd be leaving my position and everything.
What? So you already let them know that you're leaving that job?
I just assumed that what my husband wanted from me was what I had to do. And when it comes to him, if I ever reject something he asks of me, he gets all worked up and becomes a real pain in the butt. The last time I went against something he asked, it was like a war broke out inside our house. So I just thought I had no other choice this time and would actually have to leave my job for good.
Phil really acts that way with you?
But you don't have to worry about me right now. I'll be around your place tomorrow at the soonest to start helping you. So if you need me to pick anything up for you on the way over, just let me know and I'll grab it all for you.
You being here for me will really be a big help, but I hate that this had to happen to you. Right. Since you're going to be looking after me for a while, I'd like to pay you in return. I'll make it seem as though you're my housemaid, and that way you can still earn money for the work you'll do. How does that sound to you? I'll even make sure that you're paid handsomely for your work.
That really puts a smile on my face. But if I earned any money helping you around, Phil would be pissed off before either of us knew it. Honestly, you just offering that is already more than enough.
Do you really think that Phil would get upset with you? Well, if that's what you're worried about, I'll make sure to pay you in secret, and you can keep it to yourself. I'll hand you cash every month, and so that he'll never be able to find out about us. So please allow me to pay you from now on.
Are you really okay with that?
I wouldn't want you helping me without anything in return. You've already had to quit the job that made you happy for me. And now you have to look after all my needs for a few months, I'm sure. It's only right that I give you money for the work you'll be putting in.
Thank you so much, Fred. Well, I look forward to coming over to your house starting tomorrow.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you again after such a long time. I know that it's not the most amazing thing having to look after an old geezer like me, but I'm glad it's going to be you and not someone else.
Phil, where are you right now? Your dad has fallen down again and you should have gotten a call from the hospital already, right? Right now he's going to be getting some treatment, but I can't be here all by myself and need you here with me.
That sounds like a lot of trouble for me, so you go ahead and deal with him on your own there. Tell the doctor that I've got work to do that's too important for me to be stepping away from at the moment.
What? Your dad's had a bad fall and you're not even going to come and see him? And what do you mean by you have to work right now? Today is Sunday and you always have work off on Sundays. All you're doing is hanging out at home, so what the hell are you talking about?
Shut up, Jane. If Sundays are meant to be sitting around at home all day, then why did my dad get hurt again? Unlike you all, I don't have time to listen to medical talk all day. I have very important things regarding the aftermath of this to be thinking about right now and don't need to be dealing with you two.
What kind of important aftermath things are you talking about? Don't tell me you think your dad is going to die now. He may have had a bad fall, but it shouldn't be anything life-threatening.
But I heard that call from the hospital and they told me he was out for over an hour, right? He already had one fall last year that broke some of his bones, so I think his life is coming to an end now. So before that happens, I want to be early with having my plans ready to go.
What you're talking about right now is crazy. He's not even close to being dead yet.
Whatever, just take care of him for me. And if he happens to be on his deathbed, give me a call right away.
Hey, Phil, what the hell is with these divorce papers? I had only just gotten back from the hospital after your dad's health started looking better. Why are there divorce papers in the living room that have all been filled out?
Crap, just when I thought that he'd be done for. I never expected him to make it back from that fall this time. I had hoped that after he died here, I'd be the one to get his company and everything else he has.
Huh?
Well, even if he's not dead yet, I'm sure that this means that he'll have to step down as a CEO. And so if that's the case, that means the next in line for that position would be me, his son. So because of that, you and I are getting a divorce.
I have no idea what's going on right now. Why are you starting to talk about divorce out of nowhere like that?
Because I have a woman already prepared for me when I become CEO.
What? Who the hell is this woman you plan on being with once you're a CEO? I don't want to think that this could be true, but have you been cheating on me?
And what's so bad about me cheating on you? You are the one that quit your job, and you've barely been around our house. And since you're not around the house much, you barely get any chores done, so I have to throw you away.
The reason I had to quit my job is because of you, Phil. You told me to quit my job and go be by your dad's side to take care of him. That's why every single day I've been away from the house so that I could be with your dad and make sure he had everything he needed. So stop with that crap of saying it's my fault that nothing gets done in our house and using that as an excuse to fool around with another woman.
Well, who knows the real reason why you'd always be going over to my dad's house and never stayed with me. Perhaps you weren't even going over there at all, and were out with other men besides me. Even after my dad's hands healed, you still said you needed to be at his house to care for him. That's what started to make it seem as though you couldn't be trusted.
Excuse me?
And so in your place, I found myself another woman to fill in the empty space that you left me with. She's been around for me to make sure I'm happy while having to stay busy with all my hard work. It's because of how kind she is to me that I'll be making her my next wife. She'll become the young wife of a new CEO. So as for you, there's no use anymore in my life.
You're a freaking monster, Phil. Well, whatever now. If that's how you want things, then let's get this divorce. But you're going to be paying me a settlement. I'll make sure that not only you will be paying me, but that other chick of yours that you've been cheating on me with as well.
Hey. Don't try and bully me like that, Jane. And please, don't touch her. She's still only a college student after all. Making a young student like her have to pay you a large amount of money is the worst thing a man could ever do to someone else.
You've got to be kidding me. The girl you've cheated on me with is a frickin' college student? What do you think you're doing getting involved with someone that young?
Well, she was the one that came to me first. Well, she started working a part-time job with the company I'm in, so... when one day she just happened to look at me differently, and things took off from there. And I'm sure that when she heard what I'd be CEO really soon, that's what really made her fall into my arms.
Huh?
And so since this wasn't anyone's fault besides your own, don't bother with trying to get any money from us. If you had never been away from this house all the time, maybe this would have never happened to you. But now I'll at least be kind enough to give you the house. And that should be enough to get you to stop trying to make us pay, right?
Huh? You're going to give me the house?
I'll give you the house as part of us having to split properties, as well as a little extra money for all the troubles you've caused. That should be enough to make you happy without complaints, right? I've been busy getting all this ready for you anyway since yesterday.
Even after your dad had a bad fall, you still never came to see him in the hospital. I had no idea what had gotten into you, but it seems this whole time you've been thinking of a divorce, huh?
Well, everything I've done shouldn't come as a surprise to you. I'll give you the house and everything now, so allow things between us to be over.
I'm fine with that, but I won't be giving it back.
I don't care. I'm going to become CEO soon. My dad's going to step down from his position, and then I'll be taking it and the house he lives in. I'll be able to give my new girlfriend the gift of being my wife, and we can have an amazing life together.
Then I'll make sure to have that divorce paperwork turned in soon for you. Even though there isn't any company around anymore, I'm happy to see you giving me the house and all that.
Huh? What do you mean the company's not around anymore? Hey, what do you mean by all of that?
The company that your dad had is no longer around anymore. Just before your dad had fallen that second time, he made sure to have the company and everything that went with it sold to another, larger company.
What did you just say?
That's why I was a bit confused by you saying that you'd be the next CEO and that the girl would be the next wife to the CEO. Maybe hearing that your dad had fallen again broke your brain in some way.
Hey, Jane, explain all of this to me right now. Since when did my dad end up selling his company? Why wouldn't he have just given to me instead? And why did my dad never tell me he was going to do any of that?
This is all because of that strict order you gave me back then to leave my job and take care of your dad full time. I was able to hear him talking about it for a long time now, about how he planned on getting rid of his company. And not only that, but I was around to help him out with all of that as well.
What? Is that so?
Even after he had already healed from his first fall, the reason I was going over every day was to help him handle that. He had asked for my help, and so I was there for him to support his busy work that he had to do to find a company to take his off his hands for a good price. Yet for whatever reason, you decided to call my time out of the house helping him me cheating on you with other men. And that was your reason for cheating on me with a college student? You really are the worst kind of monster imaginable.
Wait, that cannot be real. Why would my dad ever get rid of that company? He had me here all this time to take over the company for him, and that's why I've been working so hard. I even expected to be the CEO for the longest time now, so I've been studying day and night to know exactly how to run it right.
Well, maybe you should have been studying more about your dad's company instead of other things. For a long time now, your dad's company has been slowly bleeding money.
Are you serious?
And even though I say that, us selling it wasn't your dad's first choice. But after that fall last year that left him in pretty rough shape, he realized he shouldn't be working anymore. He told me that he's not a young man anymore and should really use the time he had left to sell the company and then enjoy himself. And so instead of giving you the company, he wanted to pocket the money he received for the company and be done with it.
If he was going to be doing something as huge as that, he would have asked me first. Why would he do all of that without my opinion?
We had tried plenty of times to get your input back then, but every time we asked you to come to your dad's house to talk, you told us you didn't have time to.
What?
And when your dad would call you asking to talk, you would reply saying that I'll take care of everything for you. And then succeed that by saying you were too busy with work to listen to him. And so, because of the distance you gave your dad, he gave up on you. And there's your reason for him never having the chance to talk to you about selling his company.
Ah! So that's what he wanted back then when he kept being rude and calling me all the time.
And only a month after that, the company your dad had was done with, and he had sold it. Him falling was around the same time the larger company came and paid him for it.
What should I do? I had finally thought I had that company myself. Yet things are not at all going to plan for me. To make sure that I've been able to get the company soon, that I even forged my dad's handwriting and handed it for him saying that he'd be stepping down.
What?
Yesterday, I had gotten a call from the hospital saying Dad had fallen and was badly hurt. And so immediately after that call, I'd forged a document saying that he'd stepped down from being CEO. And then I called my girlfriend and told her all the good news about how we won and we'd have a wonderful life. I even went out and got that divorce paperwork and filled it all out for us. And yet after all that hard work I put in preparing for my new future, my dad ended up selling the company.
What the hell were you doing forging your dad's name and using it to take over his company when he was in the hospital?
Now wait. You did say that my dad pocketed all the money for his company, right? I don't think he'll be needing all that money he received, unless he spends it all on his medical bills and stuff for that bad fall. Then there won't be anything left to his name, right? You didn't help my dad all that time for nothing either, right? Maybe you have been eyeing his money as well. He still has the house and other things, possibly, correct?
You do seem to be thinking a lot about this. He still does have some things left over, like the house and the car.
Thank God. At least having some of that left is totally fine with me. Having his car and a house left over is still more than enough to make a little money. At least this time, I don't have to worry about a company now, and we'll still be getting a ton of money through all that stuff.
Huh? Why are you thinking all of that can be your stuff?
He has broken bones and has been stuck in the hospital for a bit. And of course, he's not a young man anymore. I'm sure it won't be long before he dies, and that I'll be left with all of his things. Even any money that he may have left over after the medical bills. So in other words, all of that is my stuff now.
No, that will all be going to Jane in the end. I won't be leaving a single thing behind for you on my will, you stupid boy.
Huh?
I never once thought that my own flesh and blood could turn out to be some kind of rotten soul. I'm so glad that I handled all of this earlier and had everything written to go to Jane.
Wait a second. Is this you, Dad? Really you?
Yes, this is your very embarrassed father talking to you. When Jane told me that she'd be going home for a bit to grab some things, I never thought that she'd return to tell me that you have filled out divorce paperwork for the two of you. Right now, I have no idea what to think of you, Phil.
All of that doesn't really matter anymore. I want to know why you've been leaving everything to her instead of the man that you've built a lot of blood and sweat into. Why are you giving her the house and your car and everything else you own?
Well, this is my thanks to her for taking great care of me. Instead of my own son coming to care for me, she was forced into a position where she had to quit the job she loved and take care of an old guy like me. And not just that, but was also there to help me with the company. So I'm very thankful for her. So what's so wrong about me giving her everything after everything she's given me?
No, that's all a bit too messed up. You shouldn't have to thank her for doing her job as my wife. And even if you do want to thank her, you're being way too damn generous to her.
I don't want to hear your opinion on anything I've done. You've never come to care for me, and you never took your wife's life into consideration. And the worst thing of all is that you've been cheating on her with some young woman that's still in college.
Dad, can you just calm down a little? I know what's going on here. What's really happened is that Jane has been threatening you and forced you to give her all your things, right?
What did you just say to me, Phil?
She threatened you by saying that if you didn't give her everything in your will, that she'd stop caring for you, right? You couldn't use your hands back then, and there was nothing else you could do but give in to her threats, right? And ever since then, you've been too weak to run from her, and that's why she's been able to take advantage of you, right?
Because you happen to think things that way, I'm through with ever dealing with you again. I'm thinking this is it, boy. You no longer have to worry about anything that has to do with me. I don't need you around to care for me now, so never ever show your face around me again.
Wait, Dad!
You can't even care for your own wife, and you can't even take care of your own dad. I can no longer stress myself thinking of you as something like my family. If anything, I'm a pretty bad dad for not leaving my company to you. So for both our sakes, today's the last day we'll be called father and son.
But wait, Dad!
Do not come to the hospital to see me. Actually, I'll make sure they won't let you in if you do come. At this point, if I see your face, I'm gonna want to strangle you. And the doctor told me not to get my blood pressure up. So now, Phil, goodbye.
Jane, how's about you and I act as though we never needed to get divorced? I've been broken up with that other woman now. Well, I wouldn't say I broke up with her. The moment she heard I wouldn't be CEO anymore, she bolted and I couldn't even get a reply from her again.
Well, why would anyone want to marry a penniless man after they've been caught lying? And I'll have to say no to your request. I don't ever want to get back together with you now that you've gone and cheated on me.
What?
And even if I did, I've already handed in the divorce forms.
Well, if you leave me, then what will my dad and I do? I know that my dad said that he cut ties with me and all, but he's going to need someone to care for him, and I'll be his only option. But I have to still work my job, so I can't be at home to watch him. Please, Jane, you're too nice to just throw my dad away like that, aren't you?
Yeah, he's done a lot for me to get where I am. And so that's why I'll be looking after your dad still. And I have to say thanks to you since you gave me the house and everything in the divorce. So I think we'll sell his house and live in our house together.
What? You and my dad will?
I may have been caring for him for a year now, but it was never that difficult for someone like me. Unlike you, your dad's a real gentleman and will always say thank you for all the chores and cooking I do for him. He'll even tell me that my cooking is delicious when he eats it. So because of his kindness, I promise that I'll care for all his needs until the very end.
What? You're going to be divorcing me and you'll still live with my dad? There's no way things like that actually happen.
Of course, from the outside, people would think that's pretty strange. But to me, your dad is like my second father, so I could never leave him behind. And when you consider that I'll just be his housemate or something like that, there's nothing at all that's weird about us living together. He told me that he's still going to be paying me after all, even when you and I are divorced.
Huh?
He told me that his house and care wouldn't even be a part of how he pays me. Although even by just receiving them from him, I'd be fine with caring for every need he has. I'm going to really do my best to make sure this last stretch of his life is the best he's ever lived.
Would it be wrong if I came to live with you both too? I promise that I'll never cheat on you again, okay?
You already know the answer to that one. You are not the kind of person we could trust living under the same roof as us. So with that, have a great one, Phil. You should be happy that both the woman that was getting in your way and caring for your dad will no longer be a problem for you. Now, enjoy life all by your lonesome and live it any way you'd like. After that, Fred was able to make a pretty full recovery from his injuries, and he was released from the hospital to come and live with me. I'm not sure if it was because he no longer had the stress of his company on him, but after coming back home, he didn't even seem like he needed my care. He was able to go out and about on his own and enjoy whatever hobbies he had, all without my help. And because of his great health, I was also able to make up some good hobbies, and Fred and I lived a great life together. But then there's Phil. After trying to get back into the job he'd had for the longest time, he was told he would be let go as they found out about how he was trying to go into his dad's company. Of course, that would no longer be happening. However, the company that did buy his dad's company did allow him to join, although the new job would only pay him half that of what his past job paid. And while there, he tried hard to get with some of the female employees, but they all told him to get away and that he was too old to be hitting on young women. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching all the way until the end. If you felt good after watching this video, please like the video. If not, please leave a comment and give us your feedback. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Your comments and likes help this channel grow. We hope you enjoy our other stories as well.
Hey Lola, I just wanted to say congratulations. I heard from Steve that the baby was born safely.
Thank you. Because of all of your support, our little boy was born strong and healthy.
That's amazing. Could I come over and see him sometime soon? Of course, whenever you feel that your body has full recovered. I'll go as soon as there's a notice. Just send me a text and I'll be on my way.
Oh, wow. You really do have all the time in the world on your hands, don't you? Not that I expected anything more from a stay-at-home wife. Really, not many people who have proper jobs can pull off that reply, Nikki. You're still living well off with your husband's money, aren't you? What? I'm going to raise this little boy, like me, a useful member of society. Therefore, I'd like to keep his encounters with people who are otherwise at the minimum. Are you getting what I'm hinting at here right now? I don't see you as a very useful member of society, so I have no intention in letting my son see you. So, I'm sorry, but I'll have to ask you to stay away from him until he reaches at an age where he can make distinctions between people to look up to and who not to.
What on earth makes you say that I'm not a useful member of society? And however you think of me, I'm still that little boy's aunt. It's only natural to want to see your nephew. Have you not read everything that I just sent you? I'm trying to raise my son into someone like me, a person who is able to attend one of the most prestigious universities in the nation and will go on to work at the best company possible. Therefore, I'll only let people who I decide are a good role model in that aspect to see him. I can't let him see someone like you, a dumb housewife who only slows down the flow of our society. What do you mean, dumb? You really shouldn't say that about others, and I'm tired of you saying those things to me. You're the one who's getting yourself in those situations by acting dumb. Besides, how do housewives even exist in this day of age? Do you enjoy your life, completely reliant on your husband, while people like me take over the world? Look, I have my own priorities, and me and my husband talked everything through and made this decision. My job is to organize and support my family members' lives so we can all thrive. What do you mean, job? You're just doing housework. You don't benefit anyone other than your family. Yet, you feel like you're a worthy member of our society. I'll tell you what you are. You're a burden. How dare you say that to me? Besides, you don't even have children. You're only benefiting a single person. You don't help the economy. You don't help others through your actions. You just sit there and look pretty in the safety of your home. Stop acting like you're doing anyone any good. What? Learn from people like me, active members of our society who work at huge companies and support the economy. On top of that, I even gave birth to a child. Imagine how much of a loss it would be for me to curl up in my own house like you. You know, I really wish that people like you would just try to even be a portion of how worthy I am towards this country. You just slow everyone around you down. Lola, could you please just get either a good education or work hard to support our economy? Is it really too much to ask for from you? Once you either get one of those done, I'll let you meet my son. Until then, I'm sorry, but I can't let him even get a glimpse of you. Because I'm not going to risk my precious, handsome, and beautiful son becoming someone like you. See ya. Steve, I just wanted to ask if you agreed with Lola's way of thinking. Do you really want to keep me from seeing my nephew?
Hey, Nikki. I'm not sure what you're talking about. What do you mean by Lola's way of thinking? About what?
I just spoke with Lola, and she told me that she has no intention in letting me see my nephew. Because she deems me as a useless member of society, which makes me unworthy of seeing my nephew.
What?
Yeah, she's always made fun of me for being a stay-at-home mother, but she's starting to get pretty extreme about it. I didn't think she hated me so much for it.
I'm so sorry that you had to hear that from Lola. I never even thought that she would say something like that to you. I don't think she meant any of that. It's probably just because of her hormones and stress from giving birth and everything. Please, just don't think much of anything she says.
Hormones? It looked like she had some beliefs that were carved deep in her system. It's gotten even worse than before. She even went as far as saying that I'm just a burden to both my husband and society as a whole. If her goal was to hurt my feelings, then yes, that pretty much got the job done.
She really said that to you? Look, I'm so sorry, but probably my fault that she's saying that. I think Lola's taking her anger out on you because I bothered her in the first place. She's probably saying all those things to you because she feels that her husband, is also a burden to society and to her.
What? What do you mean she's talking about you? Are you doing fine? You're not a burden to anyone, Steve. You go to work, you get your job done, and you pay your bills for your family. That's more than enough to be worthy to a lot of people.
Actually, I'm not the one who's mainly supporting my family right now. Lola makes more than me. She mocks me every single day, how I'm being a burden to the family, and that I'm not worth crap. Thanks to her getting used to that mindset because of me, she's probably doing the same thing to you too. I'm so sorry.
Wait a minute. She's really saying those things to you every single day? No matter how much she makes, she has absolutely no right to be saying those things to you, Steve. Stress, hormones, whatever. There's still no excuse to be saying those things like that to another person.
I think she's also feeling stressed from not being able to get back to work yet. It's the first time she's ever left her workplace for such a long time, so she's not used to the worries of losing her place in the office and things like that. And she just loves working in general, so it's like someone took away her favorite hobby. If she feels better by directing her stress to me, then I'm willing to accept it.
Steve.
Still, you have nothing to do with this, and I'm so sorry that she said such horrible things to you. I'm sure that she'll start feeling better and her mental state will get better in a while too. So just ignore everything she says, and things will go back to how they were before you even know it. And also, I would love for you to come see my son.
Oh, really?
Of course. I'll keep an eye out and text you when I feel like there's a chance that you can see him. Until then, I'm sorry, but just ignore whatever Lola's telling you. Wait for a notice from me, okay?
How could you do that, Lola? All I did was go over to your house to see your son. Why on earth would you splash me with water and kick me out? Because he invaded private property. Duh. You're the one who came over without a notice. You should have expected to be seen as an invader. I didn't just show up without a notice. I showed up because Steve said that I could come see your son. What? But I told them that I wouldn't let her son see you under any circumstances whatsoever. How are you gonna take responsibility if you or your stupid husband see him and he picks up on your stupidity? What? All that crappy husband of mine does is put our son at risk. You two siblings, what's wrong with you two? There has to be something genetic going on here. Steve called me over because he thought that it was the right thing to do. Don't talk bad about him for doing this. What's so wrong about pointing out that a crappy person is crappy? He makes so little that his salary is like minimum wage, for Christ's sake. And now he goes out of his way just to do something that bothers his wife? How crappy can a husband be? My brother is not useless or crappy. I've heard all kinds of stories about you two from him, including the way he does most of the housework while you just roll around on the bed from day in to day out. You don't even show your face to your son for a whole day sometimes, right? Yeah? So what? I did my part in giving birth to our son and making twice as much as Steve does. Of course he's going to have to do all of the housework. If anything, it barely evens out when he does all of the housework. Just think about the months of struggling that I had to go through when I was pregnant. He deserves this, and I deserve this. Ugh, Lola. And more than anything, I want to get back to working at my company. Do you know what the best action to take right now to achieve that is? It's to get as much as rest as I can to recover. I lay in bed for a valid reason. And even when I'm in bed, I watch YouTube videos and study for work. I even have to gather information about how to raise my kid into a prodigy. Do you not see how busy I am even when I'm in bed? My brother isn't your butler. It's true that men aren't able to get pregnant for their wives or give birth for them. But this is still way too far. You're treating him like a slave who does everything for you. Wow! I have never been so unbothered by someone else's words in my whole life. It's probably because the person who's talking to me is an uneducated lowlife who doesn't even have a salary. I don't need someone like you to be lecturing me about how I run my own family. You're a stranger to me, and you're a stranger to my son. Please stop acting like you're my family, because you're really starting to annoy me. You need to watch your mouth. Oh, shut up, you useless housewife. You're nothing but a burden to all of us. It's true that I am a housewife, but I started to look for jobs that I can do from my house lately, just so I could prove you wrong. I'm a working, active member of society, and I even brought the money that I made through that job to give you two as a congratulations. Oh, really? I guess you finally came to your senses, thanks to me. But, I mean, what does you, an old lady, starting to work at this age, do for anyone else? You haven't even graduated from a nice university like me. You don't have any notable certificates that make you special, so you're just a high school graduate. I don't need the $50 that you made from working at home for a week, honey. What did you say? I said, what does you bring a few bucks to congratulate us prove? Because last time I checked, no one other than some homeless person would want to take away your week's worth of money. But don't be discouraged. I'm sure you'll finally be able to buy something nice in a decade or so. Just go home in your soaking wet clothes. I don't want you in my sight ever again. And I will not let you see my son for as long as he lives. Alright then. I'm taking the $10,000 with me. Your loss. What? Did you say 10,000? Don't mind me. You know, I feel oddly fulfilled right now. I was willing to give you a second chance up until today, but I was finally able to give up on you. I don't even want to congratulate you at all anymore, so I'll head home. Wait! What do you mean you have $10,000? You brought that money to congratulate us? Yup, exactly $10,000. Haha, very funny. You're joking, right? You told me that you made that money through working from home. That would mean that you made $10,000 through working from home. That's what I did. Why would I be joking? But you said that you just started that job. How would you be able to make $10,000 in such a short period of time? It makes no sense. You just brought some money that your husband made and you're acting like you made it yourself, right? You begged your husband for $10,000 just so you could look good in front of us, right? I don't think you knew this, but I actually used to work at a very big company before I got married with my husband. I was a system engineer there, and thanks to the connections that I made back then, I was able to find a decent job. I don't mean to be cocky, but I was pretty great at what I did. So, that's how I got paid a pretty decent amount in such a short amount of time. A pretty decent amount? You call 10,000 a pretty decent amount? I mean, I guess it's doable if you're an engineer, but $10,000 out of the blue is still way too much. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised about the amount too. I only did easy jobs as a warm-up first, and my employers told me that I shouldn't go too hard from the beginning, and treat it like a hobby rather than a job. But then more and more people wanted me to work for them, and recently, I was finally able to land a long-term job for 6 months. That's how I got paid $10,000 in advance. How? I mean, it's a pretty sophisticated job that has to do with system engineering, so the reward is pretty high in correlation to the workload. And I brought all of the money that I was paid in advance in order to congratulate you two for having your baby. Besides, you were the reason I was able to get myself to start working again. But Your cruel words worked as a motivation for me to try and prove you wrong, so I thought I owed it to you. But I guess you don't want it.
What? Actually? So you really brought $10,000 in cash for me?
Yes, and my husband didn't say anything about it either. Since he has the heart that's as big as the ocean, he didn't hesitate to tell me that I could do whatever I want with the money. You know, he even told me that it was very respectable for me to do such a thing. But I'm all wet now, so I think I'll get going. I'm sorry for showing up in the first place. I didn't think I was hated so much by you. But I get it now. I won't give you this money, and I won't try to see your son ever again. Goodbye.
Hey, sis. I don't even know how to apologize for what happened today. This is all my fault. If I hadn't called you over, you wouldn't have had to go through that. I just thought that since Lola is always sleeping in the bedroom, we'd be able to get away with it.
Don't mind me, Steve. I'm just worried about you. Are you okay? I got a glimpse of your face, but you seem so much skinnier and paler than I remembered you to be.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just that our baby has been having some trouble getting to sleep lately. Sometimes he stays up all night and just cries, but this is the least I could do for him. I don't make as much money as Lola, so I need to make up for that through housework and taking care of the baby.
You know what, Steve? I need you to bring your baby with you and come over to my house right now. We have a room that we aren't using at all right now, so you can use it. Even my husband is saying that he wants to help you out.
What?
Your paternity leave is over, right? And you're going to work as usual, aren't you? That means that you work for a whole day and you go home to do the housework and stay up all night to nurture the baby. This is just upright abnormal. When it comes to this point, I really think that you should take divorcing Lola into consideration.
Divorce? Don't say something like that. We just had our first child. We can't just break up.
I know it isn't ideal, but the environment that you two are creating is not the kind of environment that you should be raising a baby in.
Why not?
Just take a deep breath and take a step back. Look at yourself. Do you think that the baby is going to be happy seeing you like that? Can you imagine the three of you with a big, warm smile on your faces?
I don't know. Can I really rely on you guys? I don't think I can take this life anymore. I've only been getting an hour of sleep for a while now.
Of course you can rely on us, Steve. Is there a day where you think you can sneak out of the house without Lola noticing? I'm sure that's the best way to avoid any conflict.
Well, I have to take him to the doctor's office for a checkup tomorrow. He's been getting rashes lately.
Alright, perfect. Then, can we meet up at the hospital? I'll take you over to my house as soon as the checkup ends. Make sure to keep your luggage to the minimum. We can buy everything else that you need. Your sister is working again, and she's pretty rich now.
Thank you so much. I don't know how I'll repay you, and I'm sorry for making you a part of this big mess.
Don't apologize, Steve. I finally get to see my adorable little nephew, so we both benefit from this. There's nothing for you to be ashamed of. I'll see you at the hospital tomorrow then, alright? Act as normal as possible, and make sure that Lola doesn't get suspicious.
Give me my son and husband back this moment. What is this? Some kind of joke? Do you really think he can just get away with leaving a divorce paper on the table and disappearing? How dare he betray me like this? The baby he has isn't his son. It's our son.
I don't know if you haven't realized this yet, but this is your own fault. I can't trust my precious little brother and his son with a mother and wife like you. If you have no intention to better your actions, then I'd like to kindly request you to please get divorced with your husband.
Do you really not realize that the person who's going to suffer the most after we divorce is him? That man is only capable of making half of the amount that I make. How is he going to provide even a decent way of living for that child without me? And besides,
Kids always like their mothers more than their fathers. If we get divorced, he'll end up with no money, and the baby is going to end up with no one to love. Do you really want that for either of them? My nephew absolutely loves his father. As proof, he won't sleep unless Steve is by his side. And he starts crying whenever Steve walks out of sight for even a second. Babies can sense it when someone loves and cares for them dearly. That's just because he's been with Steve longer. Yeah. And besides, there's absolutely no issue with Steve's salary. Because you're going to be able to pay a lot of child support with the amount of money you make, right? I'm guessing about $1,000 a month. Will be better than well off with that kind of money combined with Steve's salary. Steve's saying that he'll have the rights to the baby if you two get divorced. Besides, you love work anyways, don't you? I doubt that you'll have the time and mental space to take sufficient care for the baby. I mean, maybe. Then, you're gonna have to abandon your rights as a parent and hand over the child support to Steve, right? I mean, we'll fight for that outcome in court even if you say no. I'm sure the judges will be very understanding towards Steve, given the way he's taken very good care of the baby since it was born while you were in bed. But $1,000 each month? I calculated that amount based on the government guidelines, so I'm sure the official amount will be something like that. You're paying the full amount, aren't you? Since this baby isn't Steve's, and it's yours, and Steve's.
Well...
And you want him going to the best universities in the country, right? Well then, you're going to have to pay enough so we can prepare for that too. Because you're his loving, responsible parent, right? But that's a lot. Please, sign the papers on the table. My brother will finally escape the hell you put him in. And he'll live happily ever after with the most beautiful baby in the world.
Wait, you guys are serious about the divorce?
Yes, I'm serious, Lola. I need you to sign those papers, and I need you to let me divorce you. I can't live with you anymore.
Steve!
I've held it in this whole time, thinking that it was the best choice for me to take for the well-being of our child. I told myself that this is the least I could do for you since I wasn't making as much money as you. But I was finally able to realize the relationship that exists between us isn't even a marriage anymore. And I don't think of you as family anymore.
Why would you say that, Steve? Please, don't leave me. Please. I'll let you live whatever kind of life you want if you stay with me. I'm paying for everything as of now anyways. Can you really afford to lose me? To lose that kind of stable life?
Even if it's a lot less than you, I still make a decent amount doing my job. If I combine that with the child support that you'll pay me, I'll be able to have a nice life with the baby. Even if we get divorced, I'll do everything in my ability to let the baby live a happy life, so don't worry.
Wait, then what about me? Who's going to make dinner for me? I'm the type of person that you'll never find again. I'm well educated and I work at an amazing company. You can't just leave me like this, and you're going to take away my baby from me? I can't live with a reputation like that.
If I were you, I wouldn't be able to live with how selfish and shallow I am. You're well educated. You work at a nice company. So what? I hope you realize someday that being all of those things isn't what makes a person valuable.
What?
Please sign the papers that I left behind, and contact me through a lawyer from now on. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye.
No, wait, please. Look, I'll do all of the housework that you want me to. Just don't leave me. Please, Steve. I'll change in whatever way you want. Please just come home. I can't live without you.
Later on, Steve was able to finally get a divorce with Lola. Since then, Steve, my husband, and I have been working all together to raise the baby, and it's been an amazing experience. Since Steve is such a nice person, everyone at his workplace has been cooperative towards him as well. He's been allowed to leave at exactly 5 p.m., and he's since been moved to a department with a less of a workload. On the other hand, Lola went right back to work as soon as she got divorced with Steve. Apparently, a rumor has been going around that her husband had left her and took her baby because she neglected them both. Because of this, She's lost her place in many projects which were aimed towards parents and couples, taking away her place in her workplace altogether. Since then, everyone stopped looking up to her, and she's turned unrecognizably quiet.
Thank you for watching till the end. If you felt good about this video, like the video. If you didn't like it, let me know why in the comments. Subscribe too. Your likes and subs lead to our motivation. We have so many videos on our channel as well, so go ahead and take a look. See you in the next video.